environments. And then I think some of the younger guys that have World Junior experience, you look at just this year we had 4 guys play, and that's a huge stage, and Nico's played in it before. So, I think obviously you want to get to that point where you have a ton of that in your room for that particular tournament. We're not there yet, but I think we got enough for sure to lean on.
You've talked about it all year being the third period, you guys' strongest period throughout the season. With a physical team like Western, do you feel like the conditioning factor, you do have sort of an advantage in that?
I think
area?
They are too. I think they're well conditioned. I think first, I think he values that, and you watch them play. I think they're very similar that way, and so it'll be a really good test.
You mentioned Munn being electric with the crowd atmosphere and stuff, but you guys are going to a venue that's a lot smaller, and a lot of fans are kind of annoyed at the lack of availability for tickets and stuff. I guess I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that situation.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably above my pay grade as far as how, to pick those things. And, I think, you can go to the other extreme too, where you play in a really big venue and it's half full and there's maybe more people and doesn't have the environment. So we're expecting the environment to be really great. Obviously, we'd love to have as many of our fans there as we could, and I understand the frustration. But, from our perspective, our job doesn't matter where we're playing, big rink, small rink, outdoor rink, you got to be ready to play. And that's our job this week, to make sure we're ready to play.
Another question above your pay grade. It's a long season for one game in a sport where a bounce can send you home. Would you like to see like 2 weekends of best 2 out of 3 in this sort of event?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just college sports, and you look at the basketball tournament, right? It's kind of set up for everyone loves a storyline. It's a one-game shot, and so that's the nature of it. And I think in a perfect world, you would like to, our sport is a series sport. The guys before they get here play in a series. The league they want to play in plays in a series. But I do think there is something special about, hey, you gotta strap it on and be ready to go here. And so our guys understand that. We played in a number of those situations this year. Where can I go to Wisconsin? That's really what we had to do is win a game out there. And obviously the last 2 weekends it's the same deal, or else you're not playing. Now this one is, your season's, if you're not ready to go, your season's done. So I think that adds to the excitement of the tournament. And I probably logistically it'd be probably unrealistic to try to extend it a 2 out of 3. Just with the amount of days that we play already during the year.
Coach, you're the only team in this regional without a top 15 scorer nationally, but I think it kind of talks about the depth your team has. Kind of, how do you see that being an advantage for your team going into the weekend?
Yeah, I'm thankful for our depth for sure. We've found a way to score pretty consistently, and I think it might even be in the top 60. We don't have a guy, and so we have, yeah. So I mean, I think that that speaks to our depth, and I think guys have done a great job embracing their roles and when their number's called. And I think in these tournaments and this stuff like that, I mean, depth is a huge thing.
Trey was talking about the Michigan, the first 4.5 periods against Michigan was the last time he remembered like letting his heart rate get too high, his emotions get the best of him. Wondering if you remember any conversations with him after that, and how much moments of this season, like even when things didn't go well, like that first game against Michigan in the beginning, losing a game you played well in the GLI, like prepare you for this now?
Yeah, I think you're learning those lessons of that's what it's all about, right? So obviously we learned a tough lesson against Michigan at home and got beat really good, and we didn't do, not to discredit them, they played really well, but I mean we put ourselves in a tough spot when you take 2 5s and you're down 5 on 3 multiple times in the game. And the GLI, I mean, I think that's a little bit, we don't talk about winning a ton. It's more quality of play, and that's how we judge our guys. And I thought that was a case where, you could argue that was one of the better games we played, and that's the reality of a one-game shot. So, we got to just focus on things we can control, and we have some good reference points to look back. And when we don't play how we need to play, it's it can be dangerous. And I think we've kind of built throughout the year. It's not like it's just a switch. Even going back to BC when we lost those 2 games out there and. Responded really well. We didn't lose again until we lost that game at Michigan. So we got a lot to lean on, and that's valuable.
Did the situation with do you remember talking to Trey at any point in that game, that second game at Michigan, or in your trust in him to remain level-headed, has it grown, and when has that happened, I would say?
I've always had a lot of trust in Trey. I go back to get a chance to coach him at the World Under 18s. We called him up and, he made him a starter as an underager, and he played great for us there. And I don't think anything really needed to be said to Trey, and I think it was more, keep him in there. I think that shows a goalie you believe in him, like, hey, we believe in you. And that's going to happen, right? And he's the youngest goalie in the country, but to say it surprised me. I've really always respected that about him. But I mean, when you step back and think about that 90 minutes against our rival, for him to respond the way he did, I mean, that's huge.
Coach, not a lot of opportunities in college hockey to play teams on such a short turnaround. So obviously you're looking forward to Friday. But what goes into the coaching perspective for trying to prepare for a game on Sunday after just a day of rest and day to prep?
Yeah, our whole focus is on that first game. And I think that. We obviously have video on other teams, but our whole focus is on just one game, because that's all we have right now. And then if we do have the opportunity to play the next one, then you start preparing there. But I think we're staying disciplined, and because a ton of respect for Western, and we got to be at our best.
You mentioned that Michigan lost, as the players have a few times here at home. Was that a necessary wake-up call in hindsight? Did that help this team?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure it did, and I think, I've never questioned our guys' ability to remain humble, but I think we got humbled there, and it wasn't that we came to the game. I would think it was more, we got humbled because we didn't control our emotions, and again, they played well, but they scored 4 power play goals, and. So yeah, that was a huge. I mean, it's painful as some moments are in a season. It's a long season, and you got to spend. There's a lot of times teams would the wheels would fall off. And I give our guys credit for sticking with it and looking in the mirror and say, hey, this is unacceptable, and this can't happen. And the next time we play, we got to make sure we're better at it.
With all the success that you guys have had this season, and I know you don't really have to worry about Trey necessarily keeping a level head because that's kind of the guy he is, but for the rest of your team, being a top seed, making sure that they're not overlooking that next opponent or looking ahead at what might come, like how do you just control those types of emotions?
Well, I think that started 2 years ago when we got here. That was the messages. You gotta stay grounded, and if you think you're entitled to something and entitled to playing a good game, and I think our guys are well aware of the parity in college hockey, and there's 16 teams that get a chance to make this tournament, and every single one of them can win the whole thing. And I mean, that's the truth. We've seen it, and so we just got to focus on things that matter, and again, stay level-headed. It's not about you. It's not about any one guy, and it's about the next day. So our guys have done a great job of that. It's been the message, and not that it's easy, and it's hard in the world we live in with social media and people telling you how good you are, and it goes back to, I think I've said it here before, like, we don't really care about what other people's opinions of us are, because those change, but our reputation, we want to make sure reputation is like, we play the game hard, we play team hockey, we respect the officials, we represent our university the right way, and our guys have done that.
The friendship with Pat and the conversations, what did you have in common in those, when you sit next to each other on a plane or wherever, and what were your conversations often about other than hockey?
He's a great family man. So he's got a growing family, and so daughters, and so talking about he grew up in Minnesota, so I coached at Shattuck, so he had a ton of respect for Tom Ward, who was one of my mentors, and Pat grew up in Rochester, so a lot of talk on that, but and it just easy guy to talk to, and I think you can talk about anything. And for me, again, I go back to thankful, transitioning from a different organization, moving your family, and kind of figuring out how everything works in a new organization. Pat was great. He kind of took me under his wing and helped me grow as a coach.
Did you talk to him when you first got this job at all?
Yep. No, I was definitely one of the guys that I leaned on, and he gave me some great advice on, putting together, trying to put together a staff, and definitely bounced names off of the guys that we have here now, and asked them, because Pat was in the college game, and he was at Western when they flipped it and turned it and got it going, and between him and Blash, they were great resources, from going to it, and obviously they got it really going, and we're trying to, so he's always a phone call away, and anytime I need something.
So he was on the Red staff for Blash at the time?
Yep.
One more for Adam.
Good.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I was waiting for one more player to show up there, but it looks like the press conference with Michigan State hockey has wrapped. We heard from a couple of players and coach Adam Nightingale, who was named Big Ten Coach of the Year earlier this month. First Michigan State head coach to be named Big Ten Conference Coach of the Year. So they're going to be playing Western Michigan on Friday at 5 p.m. Right after that, Michigan will play North Dakota. That is in the Maryland Heights Regional. It's just outside of St. Louis, so the teams will be heading down there about tomorrow or Thursday, to get set and take on round one of the NCAA Men's Ice Hockey Tournament. Final Four, or Frozen Four, this year is in St. Paul, Minnesota. Our Joey Ellis was there. He's going to have more on Michigan State hockey coming up on 90 Minutes News. It starts with First at 4.